Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dime One, and I'm back with another video. You know what you got to do: rate, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so it'll let you know when my next video or live stream goes down. Follow me on Twitter. I don't tweet as much, but when I do tweet, it's thoughtful, it's very informational. So we're gonna get into today's topic. I apologize in advance that the camera is pointing all the way up in my nostrils, but it is what it is. And I clean my nostrils every day, so there's no boogers or any hair or anything like that, so y'all just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so without further ado, let's get into today's topic, and it's the Antonio Brown saga. Just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, it just did over the weekend. Now, a lot of people are coming out with these multiple on top of multiple videos talking about him and Mike Mayock having problems. Well, him and the Raiders organization having problems, and it equate to fines. Should let me go at first, man. It equate to fines. And him and Mike Mayock had a verbal altercation in the Lakers building, which led Antonio Brown saying a lot of things in anger. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, he should have been allowed to say those things. At the end of the day, you can't disrespect your boss. You have to show some type of professionalism. You're gonna have to show that that you're an adult, and just rise above it. Okay. He verbally said a lot of things to Mike Mayock, called him something that a lot of people on social media are still to this day saying that, well, what Antonio Brown labeled him as is no different if a white man called a black man the N-word, which I'm not going to go that far with it, okay? And I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to make this video any longer. And which led to Antonio Brown apologizing. And you have to know which came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to the Raiders organization talked to Antonio Brown saying, hey, look, we're going to avoid your $30 million contract because we are going to exhibit that we have fined you. You already done been fined once, and by this fine, it's going to void your contract, okay? So he was heavily fined during the whole summer, during training camp, preseason, and all that, and he got fined again with him and Mike Mayock, conduct detrimental to the team. When they stamp that on your ass, you don't have a chance. All right, you're like, and to be fair and be honest, he should have been out of the. He should have been released. I mean, he should have been released from the Raiders with conduct detrimental to the team, because normally when players go through that, they just tell them to just stay home. Just stay home, because you're not permitted in the facility. You're not permitted to talk to your teammates. They just rather see you earn your money at home. That's how bad when you get hit with conduct detrimental to your team. But it's another thing entirely when they label you conduct detrimental to the team, and they're trying to avoid the rest of your guaranteed money. And if he would have stayed on the team, not only they would have been trying to get that money, which ultimately that's what they was trying to do. They was going to also try to get the $1 million bonus. So Antonio Brown said on social media over Saturday that he wanted to be released by the Oakland Raiders. And a lot of people say, well, darn, they got him. I mean, even if they go after his guaranteed money, they could legally keep him as a member of the Raiders. And you have to look at the Raiders and say, this is good business on the standpoint of, look, we're going to go to court and try to get his money, his guaranteed money. All right. And that is no easy task because the judge could go either way. All right. But since Antonio Brown said on social media, hey, just release me, the Raiders just wiped their hands of it. I said, hey, look, instead of going through all this, he want to be released, we'll release him because he's making it easier on us. So he gets released, and I say about 5 or 6 hours later, he gets signed by the Raiders. Now, the Patriots. The Patriots were not the only team in talks of signing Antonio Brown. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. But they were not the only team interested in that team wasn't the only team that was interested in Antonio Brown. A lot of teams, multiple teams, were interested in Antonio Brown. There were some reports that the Cleveland Browns were interested in Antonio Brown. Can you imagine Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr., and I forgot the other receiver that was a teammate of Odell Beckham Jr. Can you imagine all three of them on the same roster? I'm pretty sure it's already difficult to handle just those two players. Just imagine Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown gonna want his damn touches, all right? So Antonio Brown going to the Patriots. A lot of people feel like this is ultimately not going to work, all right? Because Antonio Brown has already put his worst foot forward. You know how people say put your best foot forward? Antonio Brown already put his worst foot forward by saying, hey, look, the Patriots are going to have to do what I want them to do. Okay, they're going to have to follow my rules. Like Antonio Brown, and also social media, he talks about the system. He's not mad at anybody. He just mad at the system. The same system that every player in the NFL voted on, including Antonio Brown. Okay, it's the same system. The same system that makes millionaires out of so many NFL players. The same system that also makes billionaires out of a few players in the NFL. The same system that gives NFL players a second life after football. And before anybody comments at the bottom and say, hey, well, what about, so you just trying to say only the NFL players reap the rewards of the system? No. General managers reap the rewards of this system. Coaches reap the rewards of this system. Fans reap the rewards of this system. Everybody reaps rewards of this system. But you can't be so critical of the system, and the system is doing so much for so many. Okay, so with that being said, he's fighting against the system, and when one man is fighting against a whole entire system, it's not going to end very well for that individual. The only reason why Antonio Brown is coveted, and the only reason why he has this arrogance of, well, look, if the Patriots don't want me, they can release me and I just go to another team, okay? Because of his talent, okay? It's because of his talent. But as soon as he demonstrates that talent on the field, and the same thing happened with T.O. T.O. was sort of this way. And T.O. thought, well, look, it's my talent that's going to allow me to just get away with just about, any damn thing. And his talent did until he started dropping balls, until his production wasn't the same, okay? He was still a workout phenomenon, but what got T.O. the point where teams were not interested in him was his production fell down. And when he started dropping a lot of balls, that's when a lot of teams stopped coveting him. because, you know, he just wasn't a very productive receiver in his later years. And I like T.O. I have no issues with T.O. T.O. played with my team, the Dallas Cowboys. We didn't advance far into the playoffs, but we was very competitive, and I felt like one of the reasons why we was competitive because of T.O. Okay, I don't think a lot of people give T.O. a lot of credit on that matter. But that same thing Antonio Brown's thinking. He's thinking, look, I'm so talented and I'm so gifted that if this doesn't work out with the Patriots, I'll just go to another team. I'll just go to another team. Which, by the way, a lot of people think like this was somehow, some way orchestrated. Like Antonio Brown was acting up because he realized the Raiders were not going anywhere. Which you could. The Raiders were not going to go deep in the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl, even with Antonio Brown. And if Antonio Brown had to wait to go to the organization to see that, I saw that on the outside looking in. Even with Antonio Brown, they could have possibly won 2 or 3 more games. Okay, but at the end of the day, with Antonio Brown, they were not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They was going to have problems with the Chargers. Okay, and the Rams are. I mean, you know, so for people to this conspiracy theory, got these aluminum hats on, going like, well, he orchestrated and engineered this because he wanted to get out of the Raiders because he felt like the Raiders were not going nowhere. Uh, on the outside looking in, I could tell the Raiders were not going anywhere with Antonio Brown. Adding Antonio Brown to the Raiders, they probably won 2 or 3 more games that they shouldn't have won. All right, because at the end of the day, you know, receivers, you could have the best receiver in the NFL, but if you don't have everything else around him, it doesn't matter if he catches uh, uh 20 balls, 40 balls, score 5 or 6 touchdowns. If you don't have if you don't have everything else around him, then you're not going anywhere. It's just the bottom line. David Carr, we saw glimpses of him, and David Carr finally had a weapon at his disposal that he could utilize, okay, with Antonio Brown. And that's what the whole purpose of Antonio Brown going to the Raiders anyway, to see whether or not, what do you really have with David Carr, all right? So it was never, we were just one player away of going into the Super Bowl, and that's why we signed Antonio Brown, okay? That wasn't the case, all right? So, Antonio Brown going to the Patriots, I feel like this is only going to work if Antonio Brown comes in humble, if he comes in saying, hey, look, this is the Patriot way. I'm just trying to show my value with this team. And if he just comes in, keeps his head down, and he's only really playing for next year to showcase himself to other teams out there that are interested in him, maybe signing him to a long-term contract next year. Okay, but this is only going to work on Antonio Brown if he's very productive, if he keeps himself out of trouble, and if he's not a disruptor with the Patriots. If he plays this whole entire season, the Patriots win a Super Bowl, he gets a Super Bowl ring, he's going to get that money. He's going to get that money back that he lost with the Raiders. I don't know how much guarantees he could probably recoup next year, but there was already interest in him when he was released by the Raiders. Imagine him capitalizing on this by getting a Super Bowl ring from the Patriots next summer. Well, next NFL free agency period, he'll become a free agent, and Because the Patriots are not going to pay him, no guaranteed money. That's the whole reason why Randy Moss didn't stay with the Patriots. It's not the fact that Randy Moss slowed down on production. It was the fact that Randy Moss realized that, hey, it's time to capitalize on trying to make some money. And when he went to the Patriots organization asking for more money, that's when they severed their ties with him. It wasn't because he was a disruptor in the Patriots organization or he couldn't contribute to the Raiders organization. It was the fact that when he started clamoring for money, that's when the Raiders said thanks but no thanks. Okay, so as far as Antonio Brown goes, he can uh he can probably get the money. He can probably get a great contract next off season. And a lot of teams are going to ask for him. You know, a lot of people are going to try to hit the fence with him and give him a great deal, an offer he cannot refuse. And uh, when you look at it as can he recoup the $30 million that he lost with the Raiders? There's no way he can recoup that money back. He's getting like I believe $9 or $15 million from the Patriots this year, and then next year, he could probably orchestrate getting 20 million. Depending on what team that is going to sign him. Obviously, it's not going to be a team that's going to be very competitive. That's going to give him a lot of money. There's a possibility he might, join the New York Jets next season. You never know, or he might take another 1 year deal and join another team that's trying to compete for the Super Bowl. Maybe the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, maybe if stuff falls through with Dallas and they can't re-sign Amari Cooper, which I don't see that happening. But can you imagine upgrading from Amari Cooper to Antonio Brown? But Antonio Brown, all this hinges on if Antonio Brown is a good team player that's willing to come in and be very productive. Which I don't have no issues with Antonio Brown being very productive. Um, he's going to always do that. But my thing is with the Raiders, this is his showroom year where he can show a lot of teams he's very productive, he's very talented, and he's competing to see if he can get another guaranteed contract. I don't see him getting another guaranteed contract similar to what he had with the Raiders. Uh, a lot of people say, well, he's trying to make up the money that he lost from the Raiders. He's never going to make up that money. If Antonio Brown was like in his 20s, his mid 20s, then there's a chance he could probably make that money back up through endorsements, through another massive NFL contract. But when you're in your 30s, and a lot of teams are going to hold that on your head, your age, but they're also going to hold to your head uh, how you was in Pittsburgh, how that ultimately ended, how you were with the Raiders, how that ultimately ended, and it depends on how his uses is with the Patriots. If he still throws up those godly numbers, like when he was with Pittsburgh, uh, you know, he could say, "Well, look, I'm still being very productive." Okay, so uh, that's what's going on with Antonio Brown. I feel like Antonio Brown, this is he's got a lot of things to prove to the other teams in the NFL that may be interested in signing him next year. But I mean, it is what it is. And that's pretty much all I got to say. I wish Antonio Brown very. I wish that but a lot of people that used to work with the Patriots as players, as executives, as in the Patriots organization, they don't see this working very well for Antonio Brown. And I'm saying this. I could see this sort of working for Antonio Brown. Okay. Well, that's all I got for today. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom One, and I am out. Deuces.